Today on Ask BRStv, we answer how and when do I replace the tubing and pump head on my Kamoer FX-STP continuous duty dosing pump. Hi guys, Randy here with today's Ask BRStv topic stemming from Waterdog's comment over on Reef to Reef, who asked about the longevity of the continuous duty Kamoer dosing pump's tubing and pump head rollers. Well, today, to make a short story shorter, under normal use, we recommend changing out the tubing every 2,000 hours or about 3 to 4 times per year, and swapping out the head about every 9,000 hours or once a year. So for those of you wondering how you go about changing them, let me show you. Since the Kamoer continuous pump is variable from as little as 1 mil per minute all the way up to 120 mils per minute, the speed you operate the pump will likely have some effect on the lifespan of the tubing and the pump head, but in general, a majority of reefers will likely use the pump somewhere in the middle of those speeds, in which case following the recommended maintenance schedule will probably be the best choice. However, you can also keep an eye on the normal wear and tear to know when it's time to swap them out as well. Okay, so when the time comes, how do you change out the tubing and the pump head? Well, it's pretty simple and literally only takes a couple of minutes to do. Starting with the tubing replacement, all I need to do is loosen the tensioner that holds the tubing onto the pump head rollers and release it from the bracket. From there, I just need to loosen the bracket screw that holds the tips of the tubing on the pump, slide out the plastic tips, pop in my new replacement tubing, and tighten everything down again. One note here, if you turn your pump back onto its normal operating speed and the head just won't turn, you may need to loosen the tensioner just a little bit to free the rollers. Along with that, although you can remove the bracket screw that holds the tubing ends on the pump completely, you don't really need to, and you'll definitely save more time by just loosening it enough to free the tubing. After replacing the dosing tubing, it's definitely best practice to recalibrate the pump before putting it back to use, and I'd actually recommend rechecking the calibration again after a few days of use with the new tubing, after it's had time to conform to the pump head. For the dosing head removal and replacement, you'll need a metric size 2 Allen wrench to loosen the retaining screw that holds the pump head onto the motor shaft. Just spin the head until you see the screw in between the rollers, loosen it enough to pull the head off the shaft, and then put the replacement back on in its place. You'll want to be sure to tighten the screw down on the flat part of the pump shaft so that it secures the head in place. For me, it's just easiest to remember to face the flat part straight upwards and then tighten the retaining screw accordingly. To close this one out, I would again recommend recalibrating the Kamoer pump after changing either the tube or the pump head, along with semi-regular calibrations, not only to ensure it's consistently dosing accurately, but also to help you identify when it may be time for the next change. Outside of that, for those of you using the FX-STP pump for calcium reactors, most reactors in the hobby use a 1/4-inch tubing for the incoming and outgoing plumbing connections, which is slightly larger than the Kamoer tubing. In order to make it easier to pull my dosing pump off for maintenance, I like to add 1/4-inch push connect couplers by using the included conversion barbed fittings to increase the tube diameter, and then use 1/4-inch barb by stem fitting like this, and then a 1/4-inch union fitting to make the pump connections quick and easy to connect on and off my calcium reactor. Thanks for watching, and thank you, Waterdog, for the great question. Many of these questions come from the Reef to Reef forums, YouTube comments, or hashtag AskBRStv Facebook group. So if you want to check out what other reefers are asking or get your question answered by a BRS team or other group members, click on that link in the lower left of the description to join in. See you next time on Ask BRStv.